Here we are, live for yet another week of the Bogus Hangout, which promises to be as bogus as ever, which is just how we like it. Bill, good to have you back. Introduce yourself.
Well, thank you, Eamon. My name is Bill Slawski. I'm the Director of Search Marketing for Go Fish Digital, which is a Virginia company. I'm out here in San Diego. I sort of am learning how to surf and sail and so on while they're back circling Washington, D.C. That was part of the plan. So far, it's working out pretty well. And
I'll lose you there.
No, I'm at a loss for words.
That doesn't happen often. Terry, introduce yourself.
My name's Terry Van Horne. I guess you could say I'm self-employed. I'm actually looking for employment right now, writing a few blog posts. And, same old. Things don't change much here.
Joining us again from last week, we have Tony. Unmute yourself and say hello, Tony.
I'm unmuted. Hi, my name's Tony Dimmock. I'm based in the UK, like Ammon. I run a business called Dimmock Web Marketing, and I'm a geek fanatic regarding SEO and Google and all things search.
That's the best way to be. And joining us with this week, because, as I said before, she's fun and we can. So, we've got Paula. Paula, introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Paula Allen. I work for Bruce Clay Inc., which is an internet marketing firm based in Southern California. And I am a senior technical writer here. I started in 2008. So I've picked up a few things along the way and like to stay on top of the news in the SEO industry.
Excellent. Darren, I saw join us. I can't see your camera there, Darren. Are you able to hear us?
I can hear you. Hello.
Hey, Darren.
Apologies for being late.
You found out what's up with the camera? It just never seems to kick in, does it?
No, no, it doesn't. I'll try and get my picture up, but that's the best I can do.
Okay, no worries. I'm getting some messages from Kristin, but okay, I'm just trying to find out what's happened to Kristin. She's around somewhere, lost in the interwebs.
Kristin, come!
Let's kick off in the usual way. Bill, what have you been up to in the past couple of weeks since we saw you?
I've been digging into patents, unsurprisingly.
You don't do that.
There were some really interesting ones that came out in the past week, including one dealing with search personalization and another one that talks about Google recommending places for people to take photographs through a recommendation system like Google Now. It will look and see as logs from something like auto backup where people are taking photographs. It'll visit directories and look at the EXIF data on photos and find out the latitudes and longitudes of where people are taking pictures. It'll look at features from those pictures and try to identify whether or not people are taking pictures of historic buildings or statues or things like that. And it'll tell people when they're near these spots, this is a place you can go to take pictures. And if people do it, and they have something like auto backup turned on their cameras, it'll send a signal to Google with the location and let Google know they're taking those recommendations. So Google will keep on sending them recommendations where to go. And the patent describes a global interestingness score, where it talks about people taking pictures through something like Twitter or Instagram and tweeting and people commenting on those picture tweets. And it might help also identify the topics and try to identify whether or not those are good spots to take pictures. So I was out in my town Sunday morning taking photos of Main Street and sending those up into Instagram, thinking about how popular my Main Street might get. And it got a lot of responses on Facebook. I'm not
Most
sure.
of them wondering where all the people were. That's a very quiet Main Street.
It was, but it's 7 o'clock in the morning. So
You went back later, and all that had changed was somebody had put an umbrella up.
a bunch of people did for the little cafes, and there was a busker out there and somebody singing along to what he was playing on the guitar. So there was some activity.
Okay.
But I think there were still a lot of people out at the beach. AJ Cohn commented he used to live about 6 or so miles down the coast from me, from where I'm at now, and he said that time of the morning most people are out at the beach surfing. So I'm going to check on that next weekend and see if it's true. Maybe I can get those surfing lessons in.
Yeah, hopefully. If not, like I say, Terry can now teach you to skateboard, because that's his new identity. Terry, what have you been up to the past week? You're muted.
You are muted, Terry.
Yeah, I'm, catching up on stuff, reading a lot of Bill's stuff. That patent and the one on the Panda. Panda's a favorite of mine. It's kind of like my little buddy that I have under a microscope, must know as much as anyone about that one. I was also, I had a discussion with Glenn Gabe on his Phantom update and what I kind of think of people who try and name this stuff so they can, self-aggrandizement, I guess you could say, whatever. Don't need to name things like that.
It's no longer a phantom one now that Google have admitted, well, we have done a big update, but it's a quality update and it hasn't got a particular name. They're just general algorithm tweaks.
Well, it's pretty well general knowledge that there was something going on. And, what I thought was interesting is I guess he has a bunch of these that he watches as well. When you clean them up, you kind of have a lot of stuff that you're pretty intimate with. And he was seeing sites that had been hit by Panda, cleaned up, and they were improving. Well, that's supposed to only happen on an update, according to Google. Well, that is if Panda is actually a updatable algo. I think it's just, and this is my opinion, which is probably worth about 2 cents. It's part of the algo now, and that's why they say they're updating the algo. That's the only way that can make sense, because basically I've always looked at Pandas like a quality score for a website, which was the article that talked about, a score for how interesting something was. All those things that's kind of the way Google does stuff. They like to put these numbers on everything, formulas. So
the reason that people have that problem, though, is that you can do a lot of changes that should impact on the algorithm generally. Clean up a load of links, sort out the content. Nothing much seems to change until there's another update, which tells you it isn't part of the algorithm, because the algorithm, of course, is always running. It's run at the time of query. It's more like a kind of extra filter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like when Google indexing went live and PageRank updated without the Google Dance.
Right. I think Google doesn't like to do things like dances because that makes it too easy. They said they did roll Panda in, then said that, well, we updated it. No, I think they're just playing with us, personally. It's all semantics.
It sometimes seems, one way I've described it to a client was, it's almost like a glass ceiling sometimes, where it's something else. You've got the algorithm which can move you up or down, and then you've got the panda or the penguin. Well, not so much penguin actually, but panda particularly did seem to come in, and you know what? You're not going to get above that point, regardless of what you do. It's like there's a separate index which says, right, you've got this much penalisation going on, and you're not going to get past it.
From the first, when it first rolled out, David and I was working closer with David Harry then. We were talking to people at one of the big sites everyone would know about, the SEO in charge. He was a member of the dojo. So we had some pretty good insights. And you see a lot of these algos, right? As people were cleaning stuff up and telling us what they were finding, top-heavy ads was just a certain part of that algo turned really, the threshold was changed on it. And I think that's all they're doing is it's a bunch of knobs. They go and turn it, and that changes the threshold. Boom. It seems like an update, but it's not really. They just changed the threshold.
Yep, yep. Kristin's joined us now, so let's nip over so she can say hello.
You're muted, Kristin.
Everyone's
I pressed it. It just didn't want to work. Hey, how's everyone?
Hey.
Doing good, doing good.
Great. Got a full house. It's cool.
Yeah. How's your week been?
What was that, Paula?
How's your week?
Oh, all right. My godfather died.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
Yeah. It was really weird. It was like one of those unexpected things. He was just down here, so that was the kind of, like the cool thing is that my godparents got to meet all my kids for the first time, so that was really neat. But he's totally healthy. Like, he's one of those guys. He went backpacking, in India, just like last year. He's super healthy, and it just we don't know, I don't know yet what the causes are. We'll probably be finding out today. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, I'm just like, woo, bomb.
Yeah, what a downer. I mean, God.
Well, someone's singing choirs of angels, so there's happiness somewhere about it. I always feel like people graduate, so I don't really look at things as being as sad as other people. I think that have a harder time with death. Like, what do we do? Where do we go from our last breath? I just look at it as like, next step. Okay, cool. Congratulations. There's your diploma.
I think when it's unexpected, it's hard for the rest of us, though.
Yeah.
I have been meaning to ask you, if I can change the subject, Kristin, what are all those gorgeous paintings behind you? Like last week, I watched the whole hangout and nobody ever addressed all the artwork.
Well, I paint a little bit. No, I'm just kidding. That's not me. Actually, the one behind this one, my dad did paint. But the other one is just it's a print that my ex and I fell in love with from Walmart, of all places. But yeah, it's just oh, and then, well, of course I have the one that my kids and I made years ago, and that's my favorite one.
Of course, beautiful.
Yeah, I just don't have enough room for everything, so those are getting stacked up instead of getting ruined.
Yeah. So, let me ask Paula, what have you been doing in the past week? Because it's your first time playing on this one, almost.
Yeah, almost. I think I was on one a long time ago.
Very early, yeah.
Yes. Well, this week I've actually been working on a top secret project. We're about to launch a new sort of crowdsourced service and tool about which I cannot mention. And so I've been helping to write the website text and debug it and all kinds of stuff.
Cool.
Yeah, it's very exciting.
How much of an issue has it been? The problem with crowdsourcing is it's the same as any other kind of user-generated content. The quality is very unpredictable sometimes. How's that been, dealt with?
Well, in this particular case, we're creating all of the critical elements, and then the crowdsourced part is the data underneath. So it's going to be fine. That's all I can say. I'm sorry.
That's fine. That's fine. Hopefully, you'll get some good data coming in that will really do some good.
Yeah, it sounds like maybe crowdsourcing done right, sort of thing.
Yes, I think it could be. This is another one of Bruce's brainchilds, and he's just amazing. He continues to be entrepreneurial. I've known him for years, and he still blows my mind when I hear him talk. It's like, where did that come from?
Yeah. Darren, what have you been up to the past week?
Hi there. Not too much, really. I'm working on a project for a potential new client that wants to go down the directory route, and I'm trying to convince them otherwise. And also just trying to educate clients to stop thinking about just slapping keywords into a page and thinking that's all about SEO. And it's really hard work because they don't want to know, because anything that makes life more difficult for them, they prefer not to hear. So it's an educational thing going on. Is that an ice cream van?
No, we've just got somebody trying to bring us into a chat rather than joining us. Well, click on the link. So,
I'll give him the link.
it's
guess
on the chat that he's got.
I guess that's one way to get invited.
He's already been invited. The link's already there, but he clicked it.
Don't do that, kids.
Unfortunately, because normal Hangouts are not on air, if you're on air, it tries to start a new chat that's not on air if you click the chat link.
Sorry, that was my phone in the other room.
I thought one of the interesting things in recent times is that people seem to be
one way to get invited.
much more moving away from keywords generally. You know, keywords are becoming less and less of a thing.
Well, we don't know if Bruce's new tool has anything to do with keywords.
I can assure you it does not. Although keywords are wonderful. As a writer, I absolutely will vet any new topic or anything, starting with keyword research and moving from there. I guess I should say the idea comes first. Then you can flesh it out using keyword research to what should I call this idea, and then write.
Yeah, it's got to be much more about finding the concept you want to talk about, the person you're trying to speak with, the voice and tone you're trying to communicate. It's much more an exercise in communication now, and then just being thorough with your language in doing the job you're trying to do. And the keywords will take care of themselves quite naturally once you've got that marketing message right, whereas keywords were kind of marketing for people who didn't understand how to frame a message.
Exactly. I think that's where Darren's client is going wrong, maybe, is trying to force rankings on something that doesn't merit it just by sticking keywords in there.
Yep.
Is that about right, Darren?
Absolutely right. Yes. And I'm trying to educate them that it's not the way forward. But we've got people in the company that are adamant that they know best. Hey, I'm just the SEO consultant. They bring me in to, pass on the knowledge. If they want to use it or not use it, I guess is up to them. But they'll come round. They'll come round to my way of thinking.
It's always one of those interesting ones that people do hire a top SEO consultant and then not necessarily take the advice, and you kind of think, well, look, if you know better than your SEO consultant, there are times you're going to have to make decisions, lots of them, and they're all about marketing. We don't make those decisions for you, but when we give you SEO advice, we are not just giving you, oh, well, you could do this, maybe it will help. That's not what we do. We tell you what for the search engines will work best. Anything else you choose is not going to work as well. Full stop, no arguments. This is what works best for SEO. Now, perhaps because of your marketing, your knowledge of your resources, your knowledge of your customers, you know something that maybe the SEO doesn't because he's on the outside. We learn a lot about your business, but we can't know everything. Maybe you've got a different marketing message which takes precedence over pure rankings. Great, that's where you need to decide, that's where we want your input, that's where we're going to be even asking you good questions to try and get that from you. But yeah, when an SEO gives you SEO advice, please don't just think, oh, well, that's a maybe. No, it's not a maybe. We don't do that.
The other thing that I know in our assessments we always stress is that it isn't just, here's a list of our suggestions, pick and choose the ones you want. We try to make it clear that they're meant to work together, and of course it's a long-range thing, but if you pick and choose, you're not going to have the effect of any of the individual ones as it could have an effect had you done them all. Is that pretty much what you guys tell your clients as well?
Sometimes.
We like to
That's
start
what they
off.
want to hear.
Yeah, we like to start off with kickoff meetings where we have a long discussion about their website and who its audience is and what they're targeting and what they want to achieve. And that seems to help. Let them know we're on the same page as them. We want to achieve the same types of things.
Yeah.
The difficulty comes is when they don't know what they want to achieve. They just see their competitors online and think they need to be there as well, but they have no actual plan or budget for that matter. And these are some big companies. These are some big companies we deal with. They're not, no disrespect to mum and dad companies, small companies, but these are reasonably sized companies who should know better.
This is the thing, Darren. Google doesn't give two hoots about how big they are offline.
Yeah.
And this is the great equalizer with Google, with companies. The amount of times I've said in a meeting and someone said, well, we've been going since 1930 and we were a global enterprise and we are in 45,000 countries around the world, and yet we're being outdone by a company who's got one building with 100 employees. And I say, well, is their information more relevant? Are they trying to spam Google? Do they really give enough of a toss about social media? Are they really interacting and engaging? Well, yeah. Okay, well, what's your problem then? They're outdoing you. Google doesn't give two hoots about how old someone is. And that's the problem, because people have this misconception that because they're so old offline, that Google should somehow rate that online, and they don't. The only way it's rated online, obviously, is if they transfer that knowledge and that database of intellect and expertise online. That's the only way it works.
Yeah,
so
I've come across companies that think the internet owes them a living because of their size.
Well, in some ways the internet can owe you a living if you give to the internet and you give it stuff that it can really understand and index, and you prove that with the people that come to your site and how you're mentioned online, then Google does owe you something, because you're giving to Google and to users exactly what they want. In that sense, damn right Google owes you something, that they're owing you, providing their customers or their searches with a great experience. Then they owe you big time. And when they give you that big time, you win. But it's just, I think, the problem is, well, we've done a page, and clients will say we've done a page, and we've added 50 words of text. How come we're not top of Google? And for some companies, it can take a year, 10 years, it can take 5 months. But once they realise, the point to which they realise that, and the point to which they do well online, is...
Yeah.
Yeah, looks like Tony's frozen. We've had a couple more people jump in, so I'm going to quickly introduce the ones that have just come in. We've got William Rock.
Hey, William.
Hey, it's good to be here, guys. Thanks, Kristin, for the invite, and everybody else. It's a great show. I'm loving the topic, really. Panda, user experience. I mean, come on, really, this is what we talk about. This is what we geek out about. And what even Barry pushed out this morning, which was the update on something we've all been following since the beginning of May. That interests me a lot this morning, because we've seen the signals, we've seen it through tools, we're all watching it with clients, and we're also watching it on projects we don't have access to normally. Big data,
Yeah, absolutely. Mike has joined us. Mike, say hello.
Hey, hello everybody. It's I was fortunate enough to get a meeting canceled, so I thought I'd jump in and listen to all this amazing mind trust.
And me.
Well, it's good to have you join us.
Did you call it mind trust?
Mind trust.
That's really cool. I haven't heard that before.
I made it up, I'm sure. But I wanted to say thank you to Bill for his blog or post earlier, about a week ago, about the new patent and his evaluation of how Google would use that. I think you posted about a week ago, and I said thank you. It was a great post. You're an amazing mind.
One on Panda.
Yes.
On site quality. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. I've learned, like, for the people on this panel, I've probably learned, between Bruce Clay and that group, and I probably learned 90% of the SEO we know from you guys. So don't expect a commission, but I do appreciate it.
That's awesome.
Beer might be nice.
Well, thank you.
that could be arranged.
Yeah. John Moore, say hello. Unmute first, and it works better. Google's messing with you now.
Yeah. I keep clicking and it keeps going back to muted. Is somebody playing with me here?
No. It just seems to have a delay today, because a couple of people have said the same thing.
Yeah. I'm just stopping by to avoid the chaos of my life today. I've got construction. Yeah. So it's kind of ironic that I go to a bogus hangout to avoid the chaos, How does that make sense?
I've never heard of this show described as an alternative to chaos.
Well, there you go. You got a new theme there. Avoid the chaos of your life and join the bogus hangout.
Yeah.
I think that's it. Look, you can't avoid chaos. Why not have the chaos you intend instead of the chaos you can't? That's our slogan.
Exactly.
We can market
that. Yeah. Right over my head, they're rebuilding a deck and that's turned into, as construction projects usually do, turned into a nightmare. So I've been working on that, and so I told the guys, hey, I'm going to be gone for an hour. Don't bother me. So here I am.
That's the way we like to hear about it. So
what have you been up to, Ammon?
Well, the big thing is getting ready for a new series, which is, it's kind of a trip backwards and forwards in time. years ago on Creator Site, I started a thread called Marketing 101. And the idea was that, you know, there's a lot of people who are webmasters, SEOs, who stumbled in to this career, often through the coding side, through the programming side, and they've picked up a lot, but, you know, marketing isn't something they've been trained in. It's not really their bag, and it's kind of, we pick up what works. And what I wanted to do was give people a better idea of what marketing's about. And Vin and I, that's Vincent Messina, have been talking for a while about, you know, the way that plays into the things people say, the tips they give out, particularly that everyone's always sharing tactics. And tactics only work with a set strategy. The tactics have to fit the strategy. So somebody else's tactics, if they've got a different strategy to you, are absolutely worthless. They can actually harm you. They're great tactics for them. They fit within that strategy. You've got to understand your strategy. So what I'm doing this week that's quite big is redoing that, but this time as a video series looking at marketing. And particularly this week we're looking at marketing strategy.
I've already RSVP'd yes on that one, Ammon. It looked really great.
Hopefully. That Creator Site thread, you know, was quite pivotal for a lot of people. It helped them really understand the big picture of what we're doing. You know, it's easy to day after day do a lot of things.
Yeah. It truly got a lot of people to the site. It's extremely popular.
I had some good help with that thread. I mean, we had a good few marketers of various kinds at Creator Site, and you know, we managed to get all of them sharing their ideas and their perspectives, because there's so much to marketing. A lot of people do. I always say marketing is the most misunderstood word in English. Everyone's heard it, and everyone kind of thinks they've got what it means from common usage. But actually, marketing is way different to what 99% of people think it means. A lot of people think that marketing is just the one part promotion. Various kinds of promotion, but it's just advertising and promotion and something to do with sales, right? And it isn't. You know, marketing done right is a whole different approach to business. I always say that it's taking a science to business, and you know, it's much more the idea of market research, of numbers based, of looking up things in advance and of optimizing everything you do about a business. You know, that all comes from the marketing mindset, and hopefully we'll manage to get some good information out there and help people pick this up, because I think it's so important.
Cool.
That's my week.
Ammon, I do have a question about that. I understand all of the projections and the data-based marketing that you've been describing, but how much do you think marketing is also a state of mind that the entire company needs to have?
Everybody needs to be aboard. That comes under the strategy. You know, marketing is everything that's needed to find a market and serve a market, even before you've necessarily built the company that's providing a product. Before you've got the product, so before you've worried about how to build that product, you've looked at the market. You're being driven by what people want, instead of starting from what can I do and then which part of that can I sell. Because, do you know what? You can learn new skills. All of us here have. You know, none of us here are quite young enough that the internet was a big part of our young lives. We've all had to learn new skills, and most of us have learned new skills to an extent where we make a good living at it. Well, that's the entire approach to business. Find out what the market wants, what there is a real market for, and then make the company, rather than just making the product, make the company that provides that best. Because the better your market fit, the better everything you do fits with what that market really wants, the less competition there is, the more profit there is, and the less you have to worry about being subject to everyone competing on price, which is a terrible thing. Mike, you're looking like Yeah.
We, for my clients, we do a mini marketing research program, which is really fun. I did one this morning with a client where it's part of marketing. It's probably one of the beginning things for marketing for any of them, but it's basically where we take a look at everybody they've sold to over the last, 12 months or 18 months, and then we look at all the commonalities within those groups, and we've got a list of like 75 we can look at depending on who they sell to, but what associations they might be part of, where they're from, why they bought, what time of year they bought, who are the decision makers. And when you fill out this whole form, if you do it for your own clients, it's always, I love it. It's the best part is looking into it and finding those little clues. In this case, it was a basement finishing company. And I already knew this because I've done basement finishing companies before, but what came out of those 45 prospects was almost all of them had children in the house and they needed more space, or they needed a guest room for a grandma or something like that. And then all these houses had similar values and they were in similar areas. But that's the stuff people miss on marketing. I think they confuse marketing with promotion and advertising. But marketing is hopefully deep research and thought and all that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now I've said too much.
No. But yeah, connecting with your market is marketing. That's the essence of it, more than anything else.
And it's fascinating who buys from people. Just finding out what are the commonalities of the companies, all of us, whatever it is, that actually buy your stuff, and go find more of those people. It's the easiest way to do it, I think.
Yeah.
Unless you're like Vin and you have no customers.
He deserves that for that video today, so I'll allow that.
I don't know. I heard a vicious rumor that Ammon Johns was secretly, his client.
I think you're mistaking the word heard for made up. You made up this rumor.
I did.
Probably.
I did, actually.
I'd be
it was
shocked.
so necessary. It was really necessary in that thread. Because when you guys were all giving Alex, poor little Alex, a hard time, and I'm coming in there trying to be like the mama bird, helping her, and then you swoop in and you get your little comment in, and then it's too late for me to, help her feel better. And so, like, I just put it out there. I'm like, I was going to say this, but if I do, then it's going to look like I'm contradicting him. And then Ben comes in, and he gives me a hard time about saying that you have big head, even though you always talk about his big head. Just the whole thing, it needed me to inject some stank, and I put it on there. I just did.
Let's just close this comment with, which of you or Vin has had to ask for me to help with the other one bullying them? Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Vin had to ask for me to help him get you to stop bullying him. So
I can be vicious. That's all I'm saying. I can. I have a mean streak.
Well, I think going back to your question, once you've got your marketing message, once you've got your marketing fit, your company, we talk a lot about authenticity, but when you're a business, the only way that your business can be authentic to your message, to your premise, is if every single person in that company, from the CEO down to whoever cleans the bins, understands that message and believes that message and reinforces that message and is on board with delivering on the promise. So yeah, absolutely, everybody has to be on board with it.
I think it also comes down to a practical level. We have these every 2 months or so. The entire staff gathers in a room and has an unscripted meeting. You would love it, Ammon. And Bruce will open it up and say, I've got nothing planned, so this is your meeting. Start. And it's so amazing, the cross-departmental ideas that have been able to be formed there, and then processes created right there on the spot in the room. It'll start in this department, it'll go there and there and there, and we'll have it. And one of them that kept coming up was marketing, things like testimonials and case studies. Those require so many departments hand-holding and working together. And so that's why I said to you, somebody that's a PPC analyst sitting and staring at a screen all day isn't thinking that they've got a marketing role in Bruce Clay Inc. But they do, because when they get that glowing comment in an email from a client, does it just stay in their inbox? Or do they forward it so it can become a testimonial so that we can thank that client, so that, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah. Yeah. But it is so much a thing I see is that, that there are people who think that, marketing happens in the marketing department. And they're the only ones allowed to do marketing and nobody else should do it. We see this in social media a lot. Companies who say, look, employees don't say anything. Marketing is the one that does the messages. Our PR department, our marketing department are the ones that talk to everyone. Mm-hmm. Wake up. This is the real world. All of your staff are known to work for you by some people. Their family, their friends. The company you are will be partly judged by the people they know on the fact that you have employed them. Now, hopefully, that's going to be a positive thing. But also...
One of the places I worked at, not the place I work at now, but one of the places I worked at had to sign a contract when we started working that said things like, we shouldn't engage in social media. And I emailed them back and said, do you really want me to sign this? I mean, here's your opportunity for me to help market your business. And the better I look online at places like Twitter or Instagram, the better you look. And they laughed and said, no, ignore that part.
Yep.
I said, okay.
And same thing, I've known a lot of companies that didn't want me being public on forums or doing much on social media that, had the agency with it. This is SEO agencies, of all the people that should know about promotion. But still, they wanted the old kind of command and control of information. Oh, well, run everything past us before you do it. Yeah, right, that's not going to happen.
Right.
But that's one of the reasons why I went under the radar a few times, is that, there were companies who just couldn't handle me being up there, and it was simpler to just...
That's old school PR. Like, a lot of the early companies, that's the way they were. One in particular I worked for, everybody was in PR. It was a fucking nightmare. Like, they didn't, well, I can't say anymore.
Like, what is the purpose of that? Are they afraid that, like, you're going to get too big of a voice and then you're going to wind up, like, having a takeover?
It's all about messaging. Like, okay, if you watch Mad Men, that's kind of. It's all about messaging.
I don't know Mad Men.
Oh, okay. You should watch that show. That's.
Because then I would be a better marketer.
Yeah, you would learn a lot. A lot.
All right, Terry says I'll do it. I like how clean shaven you are, too.
Yeah, I shaved today. First time in 3 years. I actually decided I could afford razors again.
Woo! Good. I understand that. I can give you a trick.
Look, razors are so expensive. They put them under lock and key in the drugstore.
Are you talking about just like ones that you scrape along your face, or like electrical ones?
Oh, I can't use electric.
Okay, cool. Then I can give you a trick, and I learned it from Mark Trapagan. And yeah, I learned it because he put it in a collection. It's like my only thing that I've ever said. This is okay. I could kind of see how a collection might be cool, but it's because of this one trip. You take like a pair of jeans, and take your razor, and you like so that you're not scraping against the grain, but like you're going with the blade, and you go like 10 or 20 times one way, and then you go the other way, and it keeps your razor blades like so they don't get all jagged and like a pure dull or seam dull, like keeps them sharp and.
Yeah, you can buy tools too to sharpen them again.
Yeah, but it's just with a pair of jeans.
I think.
It's really easy.
I automate everything.
That was like too big and powerful of a tip, huh? We're just all stunned. We're like, oh.
Yes. I'm
I can
overwhelmed.
save so much money.
I'm looking at my teams. Yeah.
It's just hard to know where to go from that, Kristin.
Well, before anyone does, be careful. One of the things we've always noticed about SEOs is how many of them have beards. It could be that Terry has just sacrificed all his powers.
Samson.
If his sites all tank in the next month, you know it was because he shaved.
And I'm not going to watch Mad Men.
Oh, you should.
Mad
Well, you
Men
still
has
have the
been
hair, so maybe.
a fascinating series. Go on.
I have a question that might bring us back on track.
Thank you.
We get approached by a lot of companies that have had SEOs supposedly working for them, and when we take a look, either not a lot has been done or sheer junk has been pulled off. So is that prevalent throughout the industry on a global basis, or do we just think that maybe UK, where there just seem to be quite a lot of bad SEOs out there doing a bad job, and we find it very easy to get clients to swap over to our team who do a good job?
They're most probably my ex-clients.
Fantastic question. Fantastic question. I hope to hear the answer to this.
One thing is that, of course, what's happened is we've had this kind of loop in the industry. Thankfully, we're coming out of this phase now, but you're still going to find it with some of the clients that were kind of a little slow at the time. Is, of course, they spent years paying for SEO companies to build up links, and then over the last 2 years, they've had to spend money on getting SEO companies to get rid of all the unnatural links. So they're almost back to square one. So it looks like nothing's been done, but thousands of links have been added and taken away.
A lot of the focus of what I do in audits is make recommendations to build the quality of a website and improve upon it. And, take care of all the little things that haven't been touched in years. And, people have typos on the front pages of the websites. They've been there for 5-10 years, however long the website's been around, because nobody got around to fixing it. And a lot of websites are like that, where problems persist because people don't address them.
Yeah.
And
how do we fix that, Bill? I mean, as optimizers and webmasters, we see these things, but we're trying to teach them the fastest we can teach them. But what kind of tools can show them? Is there a tool that can show them quickly what their problems are?
No, you
Well,
don't
don't
know
you think-
what you don't know. SEOs don't document anything, and that's a big problem. It's an even bigger problem when you have a mess to clean up. I mean, I've gone to lots of development. I mean, Fortune 500 companies. Everything's in a mess. You say, oh, do you have a change log? Oh, what's that? And these are professional developers. You ask the SEO, well, have you been keeping track where you've gotten your links? Well, we don't do that. Well, why not?
Because they outsource them.
You bring up a fantastic point, because they come up with all the excuses of, well, I learned this from a blog post, or little things like that. Or my optimizer told me it has to be done this way. But how do you get past that, guys? I mean, the industry is changing.
You can't.
We know that.
Well, don't you?
We know that. It's always been changing ever since we started in this industry.
There's good companies who do keep logs. Unfortunately, they are so rare that you probably won't come across them very often. And more to the point, because they're so rare, they don't tend to lose clients that often. So your chances of picking up one of their ex-clients is very slim, because they've got the process right. years ago, I worked with an agency called Fresh Egg, and the one thing that they were absolutely brilliant at was keeping track of what was done for each and every single client. They had a custom tool in-house. Rebecca Kelly remarked on this when she came over and did a couple of weeks internship with us at Rand Centre over. Is that, you know, we had this tool, and every change you made to the site, you documented in this tool. The clients could look it up live. But also at the end of the month, when we sent every single client was sent a report of all the things that had been done, we could actually take from the tool and it would generate the report with all of the activity, the time spent, and the results gained. You know, I think that kind of reporting is what a lot of clients want. Some don't. They don't really want to be micromanaging your time because, you know, they trust you to be the expert. But I think for a lot of companies, yeah, being able to track everything that's been done is very important. And even if you're not giving it to the client, yes, the SEO company should have a record of all the work that's being done.
Yeah, when Google announced you could put things on your timeline, events on your analytics timeline, that's flawless. Because every time you make a change, you make a note in your analytics, and boom, it's right there. You can see everything, how it affected the traffic, what happened. It's all right there.
Yeah.
And it also means that the development guy, he lets you know you put that on your timeline as well. Boom. Everything's right there. You know, no reason not to do that. And it makes it so easy to monitor all that stuff afterwards. Like, that's what I really sometimes wonder. Like, I see stuff where I wonder if people actually do work and never look at it again. Like, seriously. Programmers, too. Not just SEOs that do that, but programmers as well. Just makes me wonder, you know, what the hell? But that's, you know, that's when you work for other people and you're taking on jobs that other people have worked on. Well, you know.
And Terry,
you got to figure the first 6 months you're probably just trying to figure out what the F they were up to.
Well, and that normally it takes Terry at least 30 days to ramp up on trying to figure out through all the analytics and try to figure out what they did and history, and I mean there's a lot of stuff, especially if they're a long-term client. I mean they started way back in the day, way back when link building was hot, right? You know, we don't know what they did, and then we use tools to go through the forensic analysis and say, okay, yeah, you did this, how many links at this time of day with certain tools, cool, but, you know, how do we solve those problems of the past? What we're seeing in Panda, I think, is a lot of people that, you know, looked at technologies that they were working at one time, and basically it was a huge thing on Forbes and everybody else, you know, oh, you've got to be doing this. So CEOs pay attention to link building, especially. I'm like, shoot, I can get a keyword on, you know, CNN or ABC or whatever site for $300 a month. Well, great, let's do it. You know, they invested in that, but they didn't know that was going to hurt them because they didn't understand the algorithm.
They couldn't know because at the time it would.
Let me shorten this.
You do. If you do ultra amounts of anything and expect it not to bite you in the ass, sorry, it doesn't happen.
And that's
a big problem, is most of the SEO companies, right, they only know how to do a couple of things really well. So they do them till they've done them over the top.
And the hard part is the clients, the customers that they serve, they're vulnerable to those techniques that they're using, right? I mean, if I'm a marketer and I've hired a company, well, I hire a company. Okay, I'm gonna hire a company as you're gonna do this work for me. I'm sorry to take the time, but
William, one quick thing. We're looking at this the wrong way around. There are companies who do all this reporting. How many of us, seriously, well, it's easier. Which of us have never had the situation where we try and explain to a client what we've done, and they're not paying attention, they're not interested? Who's never had that? You've never had a client not interested? Oh, yeah, okay.
You're in the headline. Yeah.
Right. So all of us know that this happens. Where is the problem? There are companies who do all of this reporting. Your clients didn't hire them. Why did they not hire them? Because they bought cheap. Now they are learning why. It's like when you buy cheap software that doesn't have the manual. You know, Word and Microsoft Office products got good because when Microsoft Office was growing, it was the only one with decent documentation all the way through. The user manuals for Microsoft products were better than everybody else's by 10,000 miles, and that's why it grew. And unfortunately, clients have been buying cheap, and now they're kind of paying the price. And what we've got to do is make sure that they learn, and they are now prepared to pay us to do the reporting, and more importantly, to make time to listen and understand. John.
Yeah. This is one of my sort of pet peeves, and that is that I've really been thinking a lot about, and you've kind of hit the nail on the head there, and that is from the customer's point of view, they don't think of their website as being part of their business that they need to really pay attention to. It's this little side thing, this little, okay, I need a website, I'll just do that. And then when something kind of goes wrong, they hand it to somebody, and they go off and do their thing, and they never watch it. You know, if you were a trucking company and you depended on your trucks and you took it over to a mechanic, you'd be standing there watching and making sure it got done right. You would then check on it. You would then, you know, you would follow up on it. But people don't do that because they don't think of their website as being a real part of their business. I mean, how many small businesses, if their website went down today, how long would it take for them to notice that it's down? I bet you weeks would go by before they would even realize their website was shut down. You know, and I've actually had people call me up and say, hey, you know, my website's been down, and I just found out, can you help me? And we look into it, and it's been down like a month. They forgot to pay for their hosting. You know, they did, you know, the bill came and they never paid for their hosting and they didn't even notice. So do you expect your website to be of value to your business when you don't even notice that it's there or gone or not even working? So, you know, that concept in business needs to change in terms of thinking of your website as a, well, a business asset.
And thinking of SEO and marketing generally as a commodity. You know, it isn't something you shop around on price. You get what you pay for most of the time. Yeah, there's.
But a lot of businesses don't want to pay.
But let's face it. A lot of the time, if we offer a client, look, you know, here's what I can do for the work, and if you want the really super package of explaining everything I do, this will cost this much extra because it's your time. How many of them would pay it?
None.
Yeah.
Well, we are getting close to the hour. I have a feeling we may carry on in the green room for a while after the show. But let's get some wrap-up words from everyone and find out what you are up to next week. I will kick it off with Bill.
It's a good question. I'm in the middle of doing a couple of audits. I've got a post coming out at Moz on Thursday I'm looking forward to, which I think should interest some people who follow along Google patents. I think it was one that deals with user behavior and a search engine paying attention to search success signals. So Google is just as concerned as most site owners as to how well or poorly they're doing. And the way you rank may have something to do with how successful they are at showing sites that customers like. And when you do things to help the search engine succeed and show that it's giving good results when it does a query for something you rank for, you succeed too. There's sort of that exchange between site owners and search engines that success goes from one to the other.
Cool. I will be looking forward to that. Darren, what are you up to in the next week, and any closing thoughts?
Just a lot more work as it's the end of the month, but I am visiting Bletchley Park on Monday next week, which is where we broke the German Enigma code during World War II, which is somewhere I wanted to visit for a very long time.
Cool.
Nice.
Interesting. John Moore. Unmute.
Unmute. I have to unmute first. Yes. I make sure that's on because they're banging up above me here, and that would be a problem. I know. Actually, we're Marilyn and I are working with Gina Fidel on a new project that we're going to start next month, and we're going to be talking about my favorite topic, and that is websites as a business asset. And we're going to hopefully bring in some interesting people to help us talk about it. So we're going to be kind of trying to pursue that very idea of trying to get small businesses to rethink how they position their website in their business and make it a little more of an important component of their business, so that they might think about when they hire an SAO or they hire somebody, they might think, well, you know, this is an important part of our business, so we're going to not just hand it to anybody. We're going to find somebody really good and to take it a little more seriously. So that's my little mission right now. And then on top of that, you know, my daughter's moving next week, so I got to do that, and they're constructing over my head, and somehow I'm going to try to avoid all that chaos and do all this other stuff. So that's where I'm going.
Yeah. Good luck. Kristin.
Okay. Let's see. Well, we're doing more music. We've been having so much fun with these music posts. Just like connecting everyone in a different way. And it's been so much fun just like hearing everyone's stories, like, oh, I went and saw this band in 1967, and you know, different things like that. We might get into that a little bit on our Stab Gang of Four show with John Keldon, Zara Altair, Griswold Grimm, and myself. We're gonna have a conversation HOA Thursday, and the topic is adventure. So who knows where it'll go.
Cool. Mike.
Oh, this Mike. Let's see. It's a short week in next week, but just took over a sales program for a client, which is a mess, as they always are when we take them over. So they're about 50% below plan this year, and they want to figure out how to make plan in the next 4 months. Which, you know, so I'll be pulling that out of my wherever that has to come from, and I don't know where it's going to come from, but we'll find it. So taking over sales reps is always fun and that stuff. We've got we're building a lot of content. We don't do web development, but we do build content for a bunch of sites. And coaching my son's flag football team, which is 2-1, and we're in the heat of battle this year. So that'll be a big day for us.
Excellent. Well, that sounds like a good week. Paula.
Well, it's been fun being here. Let's see, next week, the question is next week. We are going to have our May SEO newsletter go out, and I'm pretty involved in the details of that. So just gathering and curating tons of links to important news that's come out this month, and writing the hot topic and all the other things that go into that newsletter. So that's sort of my back project for next week, as well as continuing to work on polishing our new tool.
Yes, the secret project, which doesn't look like it will be in this newsletter. Otherwise, I think we'd have heard a little bit more about it. So it's a little bit.
Not quite yet.
We'll be keeping an eye out. Terry.
Yeah. I'll be doing some blogging, I think. I'll be looking for an expert opinion from Bill Slawski on e-commerce.
Nice.
There you go, Bill. I know how much you enjoy that. And you know, I'm writing more these days. I got to make a living somehow.
Yeah.
Pardon me?
It was good seeing a comment from you on my recent blog post.
Oh, more and more. I'm getting more time to read now, and well, let's say most of what's written out there is, I can't separate the fact from the fiction, so I'll go where it's, I know it's pretty much all fact, and leave the fiction to those who like to chase their tails and talk about things that they know nothing about.
William.
Thanks. Fun show. I'm going to be speaking on Panda with SEM Rush on the May 28th. I apologize. My big thing is right now getting the blog post set up as well as the slide deck, and making sure I'm accurate, because the biggest thing that I'm trying to do is help small businesses understand Panda in a simple way, not in a complex way like us engineers have done. I speak in geek most of the time. This one I'm trying to not so speak geek.
Cool.
But very highly technical, and show slide decks of how to actually recover from Panda. Because it's totally possible to recover from Panda. It's just a matter of techniques on understanding how to understand what page was affected, and then identify what to change and improve. I mean, it's a quality signal.
And as mentioned, I have a hangout tomorrow with Vincent. It's called The Curious Marketer with Vin, and we are going to be doing an hour about big picture marketing, about what a marketing strategy is, the difference between strategy and tactics, and of course how to come up with a marketing strategy, how to play to your strengths and diminish your weaknesses and make all the pieces fit together. So that's tomorrow. Have a look for that. And that's it for this week. Take care, everyone.